episode of the weekly virtual Big Meetup, the 9th episode of Big Meetup, and the 3rd episode of what I call the virtual real Big Meetup, Qatar's popular community outreach initiative founded in 2018. And in 2020, the pandemic brought about its virtual edition. It aims to inspire, to educate, to inform, and bring communities together. It is inspired by the people of Qatar, both local and expatriate, and dedicated to my mother, who incidentally worked in Qatar in the late 70s. We all need to instill sustainability in our lives, now more than ever. Thus today, our episode is themed on driving sustainability in Qatar. With a wonderful group of eco-champions, that's what I call it. In fact, I can see many eco-champions here in our midst. We are pleased to be hosted by Volvo, a sustainability-driven automotive giant, and have in our midst His Excellency Ambassador Ander Winston. Wow. Now, I would like to invite Damasco Managing Director, Mr. Jonathan Pollock, to say a few words and more.
Thank you very much indeed, Bosco. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jonathan Pollock, and I'm the Managing Director for Damasco Business here in Qatar. I welcome and thank you for taking time out from your busy schedule to be with us today. I would like to especially thank Sweden's Ambassador for Qatar, His Excellency Ambassador Anders Bengtzini, for joining us today, and special thanks to Dr. Saif Al-Hajari for gracing this important event on sustainability. I would also like to thank our other special guests, Mr. Ghanim Al-Salati, Ms. Aisha S. Al-Madid, Ms. Raim Al-Mufta, and Dr. Farah Sakara, who will be sharing their views on sustainability in Qatar. Many of you will know that Volvo Cars has always been known for safety. However, for Volvo, sustainability is just as important. As an automotive manufacturer, Volvo has recognized that indeed they need to be part of the solution to global warming, not part of the problem. Volvo is looking to make a meaningful contribution to global efforts to limit warming to 1.5 degrees to avoid significant harm to the planet and to society. With Volvo's long-term visions and short-term ambitions, they have made it clear that carbon reduction will be a top priority for them as a company, as well as those that work with them. They pledge to be fully transparent about the progress made in this regard. Volvo Cars is currently working on reducing its CO2 footprint. It's aiming to become a circular business, developing second life applications for electric vehicle sustainably sourced batteries. Their long-term ambition is to be climate neutral by 2040. And to do this, they have listed several short-term targets to immediately reduce their CO2 footprint per car by 40% by 2025. These reductions also consider their entire operations, addressing CO2 emissions across the value chain. This includes 50% reduction in fleet tailpipe carbon emissions, 25% reduction per car in supply chain carbon emissions, and a 25% reduction per car in operational carbon emissions, ranging from manufacturing all the way through to logistics. Earlier this year, Volvo Cars announced a planned collaboration with Northvolt to develop and produce sustainable batteries. The collaboration with Northvolt is key to Volvo Cars' ambition to become a leader in the premium electric car segment and only sell electric cars by 2030. As Damasco and part of the Alphatane Group, we are very happy to host this event on sustainability at our Volvo showroom. As representatives of Volvo in Qatar, we strongly believe that we have a key role contributing to reducing carbon emissions and promoting sustainability. We would like this event to be a platform that encourages people to take on a more sustainable lifestyle, and we hope that you will help us to spread this message by having open discussions in your community. None of us can do this alone, but if each one of us does our part in whatever small way we can in all aspects of our lives, then I believe we can move closer to harmony with nature. Thank you once again for being part of our discussion today. Let's all try and make a difference. I'd now like to hand over to His Excellency, the Swedish Ambassador for Qatar.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, and thank you very much for inviting me this afternoon. I will say a few words about climate change and a few words about sustainability. Climate change, of course, is an issue which is a huge challenge to all of us, all of our countries. And the measures that we are now taking to combat climate change will, I am sure, very soon produce some very tangible results. We can see a technology change happening in many countries, including my own, which is quite rapid. And that technology change has to do a lot with electrification. What we're seeing now in transportation in Sweden is that people are moving towards electric vehicles very, very quickly and in a very big way. This year, so far, more than 40% of all new car registrations in Sweden are for electric and hybrid cars. And that's a huge increase from last year. And this technology is now really becoming a part of the transportation segment. Of course, contributing to lower CO2 emissions, but also doing a lot to reduce pollution, air pollution in our urban areas. So it's very much a win-win proposition. Also creating new industries, which are very interesting, that Jonathan just described. The battery industry, which is also becoming very, very important in several countries in Europe. Now turning to sustainability and the idea of the circular economy. That has been something which has been quite important to my country for the last 3-4 decades. And it's something which really involves all people. And it starts with waste. How to handle waste. Now, in each Swedish urban community, there are recycling stations. And those recycling stations, that's where you go with your garbage, with your plastic, with your paper, with your metal, and you put metal in one bin, papers in another bin, bottles in another bin, batteries in another bin, etc., etc. It's something that has been with us and part of our society for at least 3 decades. And it's something that we teach our kids in school and that everybody is participating in. And by doing that, the pressure on the environment has been substantially reduced. So when we go hiking or swimming or to the beaches, we see far less of those bottles, those plastic containers, etc., than we used to. If you go back in history 30 or 40 years. since it's a part of the mindset, it's also becoming more and more sophisticated. So instead of having that bin for just metal, it's now a bin for zinc, another bin for steel, another bin for iron. It's a bin for paper, and it's a bin for cardboard. You have all these various bins, so you have a great separation of the waste coming from the households. And that makes it so much easier for industry to use that waste in making new products. And that is happening. And it's also very much part of the Volvo philosophy. Things are going back to industry, and we are receiving new products from the waste that we put in those bins. So that's very much the concept. And for us, waste is no longer something that we want to get rid of at the cost. It's a resource. And in fact, the country of Sweden is importing waste from other countries that they consider something they want to get rid of at the cost. So we get paid for getting a resource that we can make good use of in our industry. That's also interesting from the point of view of environment and from the point of view of economy. So that's by way of introduction, a few words about climate, a few words about sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ceci. Very educational. And I think Ghana should think about a recycling company there. Great, food for thought. My next guest on the podium here is very dear to me. I know him for more than 20 years. He visited my school here in Qatar, Ivy Indian School, to give the awards for an article my sister wrote. She won the award, and it's etched in my memory. He's also a former national football player of Qatar. I'd love to have Dr. Sejit here. Thank you so much.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Your Excellency, Ambassador of Sweden, Mr. Senator, Volvo General Manager, everyone here. I'm proud and also to be with you here in this showroom. My first car was Volvo, going back to the 70s. And Volvo really is a great and nice car, and they will never have any problem with Volvo. You know, so I try Volvo all the time. Environment today, it needs a lot of work. It needs really values more than education and technology. Values can make changes. Everyone today, if you look back to the civilization which is dead today, they didn't really lose their position because they don't have knowledge. They have knowledge every day, and they get, experience every day. But because they lost their values. Today, if we want really to serve these plants, we need to have children carrying care, living with nature, learning from nature. And this was here before 60s and 50s in Qatar. Our parents, they were more close to the nature. They was getting a lot of experience dealing with water, with flora, with wildlife surrounding them, and either the houses and the material and there was waste was really part of their nature. So there was more positive. They didn't go to school, they didn't have college, they didn't listen to any type of experience. But today our children, they have more knowledge, more technology, more ideas, but they are negative. So we have to take them back to nature. And this is the main key if we want to solve really and make our children and grandchildren safe and happy in the future. And this is the role of our parents first. Today, my time, I born in 52, going back to 70 years ago. I was very close to my family. I get a lot of values from my family. So the gap was small between generation and generation. And this is vertical. And horizontal also, the gap was small between neighbor and neighbor. All message same. And anywhere you go, and maybe similar to your country also. Today, no. The gap become bigger and bigger, so the family are really suffer, and they have tried their best, to change the behavior of their children, but technology is part of that. Society is part of that. Everything surrounding them it's not easy to reach children. It's a lot of work. So all groups, starting from family, small family, to the neighborhood, to the schools, to the society in general. So these three pillars, the government and private sector and NGOs, they have to work together and respect each other. And they have really a goal to reach. So today we need to have more better leaders, better scientists, better way of changing our behavior to serve. As you see, Qatar, 2 years now, we don't have them. We have a lot of this desert flora suffering, and a lot of these small animals in the desert. Someone can say, oh, there is no nothing there. There is some. We have more than 500 flora in Qatar. We have about 350 birds in Qatar. We have insects, more than 600 insects. So there is some wildlife, but now really also this is what is going on. We are suffering. So thank you very much for inviting me to be part of what you are doing. I am running some programs for the children. So more I am focusing the children. I have Flower Spring. This is the initiative for Her Highness Sheikh Hamza, going back to 23 years ago. It's going on until today. She chooses a flower every year. So we celebrate the whole year. Next month we are announcing the flower of 2022. And so this is a special flower because of the game that will happen in Qatar. Yeah. And also I have Eco Kids, and this is every Sunday for the children online through Zoom. So I invite the parents, let their children participate in this program. And we have children everywhere, starting from 6 to 7:30 every Sunday in English, and every Saturday today in Arabic from 6 to 7. So now we have children also everywhere participate. They discuss many things related to the environment and also other things related to their interests. Okay. So I like to invite, we have a bird program, we have Qatar in Nature, which is also a program in your small device. This program, it just show you all wildlife in Qatar. Now you can have it in your pocket. All you have in both languages, Arabic and English. So if you like to see birds, you have the birds of Qatar. You can also listen to the sound of these birds. Yeah. So I encourage every one of you can just put Qatar in Nature, and you get it, and you have all wildlife in your small device. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I'm close to home, you know. I cannot forget because this is what my first subject, during the subject, you know, carried me a lot here during the subject to have a car. You know. Today, everyone gets a car. Thank you very much.
Shukran, Dr. Saif. It's better to be safe than sorry, guys. And environmentally speaking, wasn't it refreshing to hear Dr. Saif, truly the first green ambassador of Qatar? And I was humbled to work with him on this year's calendar with Flowering Spring. We did a lovely calendar on flowers. And it's also endearing to see the program on Eco Kids, which they do every Saturday and Sunday. Without further ado, we will go to the main course now. Beginning with main course. I'd like to invite our panelists, our esteemed panelists. Let's have Ghani, Reem. I'm on first name basis with them, guys, so excuse me. And Dr. Farhan. And Aisha. Yeah. I'm going to stand for this. And if it's not too much, Dr. Saif, could I invite you for a quick tete-a-tete for a few questions? I'd love for you to be part of this. Wait for Aisha. So I've hosted each and every one of y'all except Ghani on my virtual series during COVID. So I'm going to be picking on a lot of Ghani. So just short. Yeah. Let's start off with. There you go. Let's start off with an introduction. If Reem, could you please introduce yourself to our guests?
Okay. I'm Mufta, I'm here, and I'm a wellness advocate on Instagram social media, and I used to have two startups that were sustainability related, but I closed them down because of some challenges I faced. But I learned a lot from that experience and from the culture here and how they deal with sustainability and the environment. So yeah, that will be discussed later, inshallah. And also I'm a fitness instructor, and I discuss being a role model in the community about being a mother who's a working mother, as well as juggling with motherhood, as well as being a wellness advocate. So living a healthy lifestyle while balancing all those things at once. So that's what I have a passion for, showing others how it can actually be done. So thank you for having me, Boston.
You're welcome. Aisha?
My name is Asmi Abid. I'm the founder of Community Future Initiative. I believe that I'm in the world here to have this message to people, to spread awareness according to environment, and I believe that everyone should be responsible to save the environment. Thank you for having me today.
My name is Ghanem Al-Salati. I'm the founder and CEO of Inbat Holdings, which is a vegan investment company here in Qatar. It's a range of 7 different companies that are focusing on health, wellness, and sustainability. I've been doing this for the past 6 years, and we're very excited always to see our initiatives and our companies growing in this market and seeing a lot of people being so interested in sustainability and growing that sector. And we're very happy to be here with Volvo and hearing about their new initiatives with the cars and with their way of trying to convince the community in Qatar to live a better lifestyle. So we're very happy to be here and happy to be in this panel together. So thank you guys for hosting this.
Thank you, friend. Yes. Thank you so much.
So, my name is Fahman Sakal. I'm an archaeologist. I'm working at the Qatar Museums, at the archaeology department. So, whenever you see somebody excavating and doing scientific excavation in Qatar, this would be probably me. I'm here to speak about my personal journey, sustainable journey, and I'm so humbled to be in this circle of speakers, actually, and thank you very much.
Well, I don't think we need an introduction from Dr. Saif. Dr. Saif, I would like to start actually with you with a question. What did you see when you started Flowering Spring, when it was founded by Her Highness Sheikh Moza over the years? Can you give us a bit of history about Flowering Spring, the first green NGO of Qatar?
Yeah, I think this program started in 1990. During that time, we was suffering of nobody cared really much, especially understand the Qatar nature or Qatar flora in general. Our parent was living because surrounding this flora in Qatar, they know the name, they know how this is important, they know some of these could be medical type of flora, some just for them, for their, lifestyle, they live there. Her Highness, she was thinking about, having a program which is try to take these kids from 3 years old to 18 years old back to nature. And we said, okay, let us starting this program. So she chose the first flower called Shafalla. And Shafalla is a beautiful flower, desert flower. And also we have now the Institute for Special Needs, called it Shafalla Center for the children with special needs. So she tried to also to take this flower every year as part of her cards, especially during the Eid, we have shared the celebration of Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, and also some of her gifts trying to. We starting small, but then starting to have around 500 children every Saturday to the camp. We have a camp which is between Port and the Zakhira, and we have about 10 stations. Each station, the children learn experience. For example, they learn about how to deal with water, insects. We document all the insects of Qatar, and we give it to the Qatar National Museum to have it there. And so it's part of that program. Also, the birds of Qatar, we already also covered the whole bird of Qatar. We have a books and we have this application. We also collect or try to see the flora of Qatar. So the program starting with the flora, but flora is starting from the beginning before any other things. And then we try now to see how this program really affect the society. The children who start with us during the 90s, they are now the decision maker in Qatar. They learn how important nature for them. And also we see today many other institutes and hotels, rooms, and also either wuqud. They have their material called flora of Qatar. So starting to see these names more coming back again to the new generation. So it's a nice program, and we continue doing. We have some problem with COVID-19, so we don't have much children this day. I hope next year will be better to go back to have children in our camp there at Qatar. So I think we also invite Volvo and people working with Volvo to spend time in our camp. It's a nice camp close to the beaches, so anytime we are ready to.
Dr. Saif, you read my mind. That was my next approach. I actually want to invite Volvo and we can do a sustainability event in the open at your campsite somewhere in March or April when it's not too cold. We should do something in nature. It'd be nice.
I think I'm proud of our new generation. They're carrying now this responsibility. I'm really proud of you. I think we need to listen from them more than me.
Absolutely.
You know?
No.
Yeah, I believe of their.
Actually, it's the other way around. It's the other way around.
Yeah.
Very humble of you, Dr. Saif. Thank you so much. Let's get down and dirty. Straight off to Ghana, actually. What does Estedama mean to you? Estedama, by the way, is Arabic for sustainability. And another question. It's for you guys to I'm giving you a chance to think, but let Ghana hit it. What do you reduce, reuse, and recycle? How and why?
Well, I think the definition of sustainability, which is Estedama in Arabic, is a very subjective kind of definition. We believe that sustainability 5 years ago was completely different what sustainability means today. And I believe that this kind of definition needs to always be revisited for us to kind of understand what's the next sustainable way of doing something. 5 years ago, I thought I was sustainable by doing certain habits in my own lifestyle. Today, it no longer means sustainability. And I believe that's where I always wanted to kind of encourage people to always look into how you can be the better version of yourself and the better version of what can you do good to the planet today. Now, what can you have done like 5 years ago, or what can you do like 5 years from today? I believe a lot of people are stuck in the future. 2030, 2035, 2040, we will get there somewhere. And I always try to tell people around me, let's start focusing on things now and today and at this moment. How can you be sustainable now? So for me, this is kind of what the definition of sustainability and Estedama is: being able to live peacefully in harmony with nature and doing the best thing you can do to reduce your negative impact to the environment, onto the world. The impact will happen no matter what, and I think this is very important to know. Us being here and living and breathing, you're definitely going to have an impact. I think just reducing that and making it a conscious impact and knowing it and being aware of what's happening around you when you choose what to eat that day and what to consume that day is very important for you just to understand. And I think that's how the understanding of sustainability can become a lifestyle. Your second question, what do I reuse and recycle in my own kind of lifestyle? So recently, so I eat at my restaurant every single day. I don't cook. And for the past 5 years, and this is a very true story, I've been using, I have a packaging factory, so it's all eco-friendly packaging whenever I order food. However, it's still waste. And we talked about waste earlier. No matter if it's compostable or biodegradable or regenerative packaging, it's still costing a lot of waste into this world. And what I've done is I try to buy those reusable containers, and I actually take them with me, which is a little bit of a hassle. And I go to the restaurant, they fill them up, and I don't use packaging anymore in my daily food intakes, which is a huge thing for me because I used to use a lot of packaging, thinking I was doing a great job by using, eco-friendly packaging. But actually now I feel I'm in a better place. So that's, I think, a small example, just how I change something that I do on a daily basis that, inspired me to now offer all the customers that goes to my restaurants who brings their own tubs to get 10% off their food immediately. And that's just something that encourages people. Thank you so much. Thank you. I believe small things like that will make the difference. And it's not about making huge steps. It's about making those small steps, because those small steps is what made me be sustainable, in at least my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Joey, for that. Yeah, Aisha, I call her the Princess of Green of Qatar. What is your sustainable lifestyle?
According to the three R's that you mentioned, reduce, reuse, and recycle, in my opinion, always, as a consumer, I believe that we need to focus on our needs and wants first of all. For example, if we're going shopping for any item that we are buying, we should also think about it. Do we really need it or not? And we should think about the life after that. What will happen to this item or anything that we're buying? So sustainability is a lifestyle that should it's not for an event or a specific week or day. I think it should be the whole life of our life. And I always say that if we believe in the case, we can give it, and we can give to Mother Nature and believe that we are a cycle, that we are getting back whatever we waste or whatever we throw, it's coming back to us. Maybe not now, maybe after a few years or a few months.
Very well said. I'm going to quickly move to Reem and come back to you, Aisha. Reem, I've actually typed this and I might forget. So you are a go-to person or the go-to person for so many things, from living a healthy lifestyle to advice on being a mother to eating right. This is the epitome of healthy, sustainable lifestyle. Please narrate your story.
For me, what I've come to realize is that I can make an impact in different ways, but I have to choose the way that I can make the biggest impact. So I tried the entrepreneurial route. It didn't work out for me. I'm not as confident as I thought I could be with deciding to do things, but I learned a lot. So the other way I thought I could be impactful in regards to sustainability was that being a little more for community, because in our community we know each other and we see how we're wasting, how we're not reducing or reusing or recycling, and we see the barriers to that. So I like to play devil's advocate with people and say, so why wouldn't we stop using this? And give their answers. Because, for example, everyone really does not like using those cardboard straws, right? So it's a very big challenge, but there's an easy solution to it. You can use different kinds of, reusable material or compostable material. So I like to try and figure out what those barriers are and shed light on them and say, guys, come on, be serious. If you don't like these paper straws, look for the metal straws, which I use all the time.
You can even try edible paper cups.
Edible to a cutlery as well. And the second way of showing discussing and bringing other people around you and demonstrating the work, say, oh, by the way, light bulb, we can do it this way. It doesn't have to be this way. But everyone pushes you in a different direction. Choose the direction that you want and that's efficient and practical for your life. So, for example, as a mother, I want all of mothers in Qatar and internationally to show their kids, as the tip was saying, at a young age, they can be easily infringed. So, show them what you're doing. Even though the small baby steps, those actually do matter. Maybe I can't make bigger impact in regards to composting or recycling. We don't have the facilities here that help us, but there's ways of doing it and showing others how to do it. So you can find your way of being sustainable. Not always follow the herd.
Well, there are composting companies in Doha. Quite a few are starting up actually. Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much. Let's move to Dr. Farhan. Before I go back to Aisha. Dr. Farhan, you are one of the reasons, if not the reason, that we have Estedama as one of our 4 pillars of Big Meetup. I'm extremely honored to host you in person. I don't mind reading it. As an expat, how do you view and compare your native Germany to Qatar on sustainability grounds? And what knowledge share could both countries exchange and acquire?
That's a lovely question. I mean, if you allow me, I will go a little bit back to Turkey, where I'm originally from. And I want to explain that actually growing up, we had a very sustainable education in the sense of when you are paying for the things, when nothing is free, you are more conscious with the things. So my mother used to tell me, okay, shut the light off when you're going out of the room, or turn the water off when you are not using it. I didn't see a bathtub, or I didn't take a bath in a bathtub since I was 18. So coming from this background and then immigrating to Germany after a while,
I found a very well-functioning system, as His Excellency already was mentioning, for Sweden. It's the same for Germany, so everything is more or less regulated by the government and everything is there. You just need to separate and dispose your garbage in the way that it is asked for. Coming to Qatar, I was struggling a lot because there is a garbage disposal system, but not that much sophisticated as it is in Europe. So I needed more or less 5 years to wake up completely. So I was living at the beginning in the hotels, so I didn't see any garbage that I'm producing because it was cleaned by the cleaners, and I didn't buy anything because I was eating at the restaurant, as you were saying. So I was thinking I was not producing garbage, but then I get in touch with Doha Environmental Actions Project, and we start a cooperation for cleaning the heritage sites. So this was one task that I had to do from the site of Qatar Museums to collaborate with some volunteer groups to clean up the heritage sites. And this cooperation is now going to be almost 3 years, and Doha Environmental Actions Project, and especially his director, Jose, of course, doing a wonderful job with that. And this made me more conscious when I was seeing week by week. I have to say that I become a very proud member of the Doha Environmental Actions Project. Since the very first day I met them, so I joined to every cleanup every Friday. We go every Friday. Then I saw the mass that we are actually producing. That means when I don't see my garbage, that doesn't mean that it doesn't land on the beach. Because actually I don't see it, yes, but I produce it. It took me, as said, 5-6 years to shift from bottled water to gallon water. Now, with this shift, with the very simple, actually ordering gallon water, I'm now more sustainable because I am saving a lot of resources that would be produced if I wouldn't do it like this, just for me, just because I'm demanding it. I want to have the bottled water, and people who produce that. And to produce it, they will use virgin plastic and so on, etc., etc. So we see the problem. When you go to the cleanups by yourself, you see it. When you go every week, some people tell me, why you go every week? I mean, when you go once a month or once a year, it's also okay. Like some companies do it as sustainable activity of their company. They go once a year and it's done. No, to make yourself more aware, because we are ignorant. We forget very, very quickly. So if you do this every week, you understand it more. You understand the problem, the dimensions of the problem. Because the problem is not only the plastic which is on the beach. The problem is the plastic in the ocean, the islands, plastic islands in the ocean. The problem is how we using our resources and politics and so on. So this is, when we are speaking about sustainability, most of the people think about environmentalism actually. But sustainability is a much larger term and has more depth than just environmentalism.
True, very true. Thank you so much, Dr. Farhan. Aisha, earlier today or yesterday, or was it last week, you informed me, and thank you for bringing to my knowledge that this year's Qatar National Day theme is sustainability. MashaAllah, that's fantastic. Can you shed some light on that?
Hello. Well, each year the slogan is different. So this year is related to the environment. In Arabic, it's called Maraba Estedama. In English is, I hope that you don't forget, it's Essential Matters, Life Matters. It means that we need to take care of our mother nature and to animals or plants or anything that's related to the environment itself. So this is the slogan for this year.
You want to touch upon that, Reem and Rani, on the National Day theme?
Well, we're very proud actually to see that Qatar is finally putting and highlighting and bringing nationalism into sustainability, kind of connecting both the platforms, which I think was a lot of people thought it's too far, and a lot of people thought it would never kind of come together. But I feel like when they brought it together, it made so much sense because for the kids and for the young generation, for them to see that actually for you to be a Qatari now is actually need to be sustainable too. And a lot of people in the beginning, I would say, let's say 10 years ago, thought that sustainability is not for the locals. It's something that is coming from that. I mean, I come from that generation where people didn't appreciate sustainability. They felt it's something that is not, let's say, as cool as it's
Powerful message.
It is. To be honest, I think it's something that changed and will keep changing a lot for the young generation. And I think the generation that's coming now is going to have a little bit more, I would say, responsibility that will get them to be not just eco warriors, but people that can actually make change. In our generation, there are a few people that we can name that made a little bit of difference. I think the next generation will have much more people. So I'm very happy to see that, and I'm happy to see that there is a focus on that. And I believe that more needs to be done. And this year we've seen Qatar making huge commitments internationally when it comes to the COP26, when it comes to even announcing a new ministry for climate change, which I think is very important. Is it enough? Maybe not as enough as what we want to, but is it on the right track? Yes, it's on the right track, and we should support it, and we should be happy that these things are happening. And I feel that together today we can support these initiatives to be bigger and to become a little bit more stable, I would say, and more foundational in our core of education.
That's it. In fact, generation that's going back to Dr. Safe's generation, when they took care of the environment. So there's a gap somewhere.
I mean, just to add a little bit on that, I mean, I come from a generation where we were the generation of consumer. Like we are consuming so much things. We are consuming a lot of junk food, consuming a lot of materials and products, and it was the cool thing is to consume, and we were raised to consume. So it was really challenging for us, for our generation, to actually switch, and that's I think where it is where maybe something that's very interesting, that how now with education we're trying to fix the middle generation. I think Dr. Sefi, in your generation, I believe it was easier to switch back because you said you were in nature, you came from nature, you were involved in nature. We were not involved in it. We didn't grow up in nature. But I'm happy to say that now I feel like we are going toward that. So little steps that will take us there, I think.
So let's switch from petrol to battery in Volvo Volvo perhaps.
Yeah, in terms of the 2030, they actually touched right upon the point where they want the society and residents as well as locals to actually understand that our heritage and heritage sites should be taken care of. We should be eco-friendly in terms of our land and heritage. God gave us this land, and it was given to us not to own and just to destroy. It's given to us to rest, temporarily. So you give it back the way you found it. That's how you respect people's property. So now, like what I was saying, like with this now, the slogan, Ash explained it very well. People now are going to actually understand this point. Because recently I didn't see it so marketed around and communicated around the town that well in regards to you have to love this land. It's all about you. You should be proud about your land. Take care of it. Like in your home, would you want someone to throw litter on the floor? Of course not. So if you say you're Qatar and you're proud, then you better be proud and take care of your land. And that's what Tiffany was trying to say in the QMD, and I didn't see it, so big, but that's what I was saying. In terms of people actually realizing it and seeing it and actually taking it to heart. So I'm happy.
Great. That's why when I was talking about it, I said we have to talk about it today. It's wonderful. And thank you so much for that. Yeah. Aisha, another question is, I really want people to know about Dinner Future Qatar thoroughly because I see you all the time with children, with school, so much activity, and you were part of our first ever sustainability event, Estedama. In fact, the first, if I'm not wrong, correct me, Dr. Farhan. We collaborated with Dr. Farhan and Qatar Museum, and we had the first ever sustainability event at a heritage site, my favorite heritage site, maybe my second now, Barzan, which is Barzan. Yeah. So I like to, we should always think about heritage and our lifestyle.
So Greener Future Initiative, we started in 2018. Our main goal is to spread awareness. Before I started Greener, when I was a child, I always tell my mother, when I go around and I see some dirt and sand on the floor, it's like to end the streets. I mean, I always tell my mother, I need to come and clean it. I feel that I'm responsible about this land, and I have this belief that one day I'm going to do something to the future. So this is one of the things, and then I said, why not to do something to the community to spread this awareness? And then we started Greener in 2018. Our main goal was to spread awareness according eco-friendly sustainability and how to take an action and change our habits. But small steps, as Qanim said, we don't focus with the huge habits. First, we start by ourselves, believe by ourselves. We start from our houses, then our relatives and friends. We also give workshops to schools, universities, and we participate in conferences and forums that related to sustainability.
Thank you so much. Back to Ghana. This is a question I wanted to ask you, and I told him about this, so I think it's ready. You founded perhaps one of my most favorite establishments, Paper Cut. What inspired you to do so?
Well, everything that I've done in the past few years has been done because of a need. So when it comes to even my restaurants or my businesses, it didn't start because I just want to create a space or want to create a concept. It was something that I had to go through a lifestyle change myself, then found out that there is no alternatives and no options in the community and in the market, that I had to create an alternative for myself. And that's how everything started. That's how I started Evergreen back in 2016. And then when I started Evergreen, the first issue that came to us is packaging. So I was calling my restaurant the most sustainable restaurant. We are about health and wellness and eco-friendly, but then our packaging was just not eco-friendly or sustainable. So I remember we were in a kind of a dilemma, and then the blockade happened. And 5 days after the blockade, we had shortage of packaging. And that's how the first idea of Paper Cut kind of came in, which is we rented a small workshop at Cubic, and we had a little bit of paper, recycled paper from Doha, from one of the factories here in Qatar. And we started doing bags because we needed bags. And that was the first product of Paper Cut. And from bags, we were just supplying Evergreen at that time. And then we started supplying boxes to Evergreen, and then we continued the range. And then other cafes and restaurants started seeing the products at Evergreen, which then made it to other cafes. And then suddenly we're not just serving it for Ghanim's purposes, we're actually serving it for 500 companies today. And I feel like I thought that the need was just me, but then what you find out is that the need is not just for you, but you just have to make the alternative and the option out there, and people will kind of use it. So Paper Cut gone from being 150 square meter workshop to today being 3,000 square meter factory. And we're very proud. Of course, we have a huge team, and this is not a one-man show at the end of the day. However, I do believe that it's a necessity and it was a need. And that's, I think, where the inspiration behind Paper Cut. And what we felt is that we felt responsible for the customers that come into our restaurants. And now I believe every business that works with us feels the same way.
There's no wonder I have an affinity towards Paper Cut. Big Meetup was born from off the blockade. Yeah, and by the way, the staff at Paper Cut are amazing. From the driver who delivered my recycled invitations that I used for the first ever sustainability event to your whole team. Bravo, that's great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I'm not done with you. Perhaps the last question for you. What change would you like to drive in the current ecosystem to reduce our carbon footprint?
Okay, so I believe there is a lot of things that we need to do. There is not one thing, but if we have to kind of focus on how we can reduce our emissions, my goal and my message for people from day one was that we have to focus on the thing that we do on a daily basis. What are we doing on a daily basis? We're eating on a daily basis. We're eating 3 times on a daily basis. And we need to think, are these meals actually affecting and having an effect to the environment or not? And is it actually making a huge, is our diet and our food system having a huge impact on the environment or not? And what I found out from the studies and the research that I have made and that I've seen and the literature that are out there, they've all confirmed that the most impact a human being can have on the environment by switching their diet to a more plant-based diet. And that's why all my businesses have been plant-based and vegan from day one, because I believe that is the solution. Maybe veganism is not for everyone, and let's say people cannot just switch to a vegan diet. But I do believe that if people started reducing their meat intake and their animal products intake, a huge difference will happen, because we believe that there is a lot of literature and scientific science have proven the importance of reducing our meat intake and our animal products, and how that will make a huge impact to the environment with an immediate effect. So I don't know, sometimes when we talk about the environment and we see all this literature, a lot of people try to not talk about diet and talk about the transportation and how we can, of course, having electric cars or having all these, which are amazing. But then when you see that 18% of the carbon emissions that's in the air is produced by the meat industry. So my suggestion and my advice is that always people need to kind of go toward plant-based diet and to be able to reduce their consumption. And I believe eating more fruits and vegetables will never hurt anyone. So yes, veganism is not for everyone, but I do believe that if you introduce meatless Mondays here and there, and I believe it will make a big difference. Slow steps, but it will make a bigger impact in the future. And I'm seeing a lot of people nowadays doing these things, which I'm very happy and proud to see that the community are now accepting that kind of idea of not having meat on the dish and not having chicken or fish and so yeah, vegan-ish is the advice.
Fantastic. I can't help but I have to go to Reem on this to see my nutritionist guru. Can you give us a little snippets, or you want to answer that or add to that? No, you're a nutritionist. I mean, in any way. Yeah.
Okay, well, honestly, this is going to make people laugh, because in our culture, it's not so nice to do this, but the number one way for me to reduce food waste in your own home is to reuse leftovers. It's not bad, it's not embarrassing, okay, it's haram or shlom, see it. No, reuse the rice you had in the afternoon for dinner or for your next day lunch. This is how people in the health and fitness world even prep their food. They prep their food for 1 week or 2 weeks in advance. So if you're healthy and you're following the trend, then follow that trend too, please. Because leftovers are the easiest way to make a difference. And children love to play with leftovers and say, oh yes, macaroni again, but with what now? So you get creative too. So it's just about how you find your ways to become creative and use your diet smart, and how to show that to the next generation, because food is, like you said, one of the biggest ways to make an impact on the environment and your own health. So definitely leftovers, please use them.
That's it. You guys will be fed up with me. There are too many questions for me, so I'm going to make it a little more exciting. This is the exciting part. We do a big host swap. So what you do is you get Aisha. Each one of you ask the other a question. Let's start with Dr. Farhan. Dr. Farhan, you like to choose it. We'd like to ask a question to you. So ask one question to anybody. Yeah, be kind.
Okay. If Reem can maybe somehow say more about this shift in the society right now here, what is happening, because as I was saying before, in my background also, there are several different steps and several different cultural backgrounds and education and so on. and how you are seeing this now happening in Qatar and where it is leading to in your opinion.
Okay, so everyone has their own opinion, so don't kill me. But so before I didn't see that much of a nobody was absorbing information they were given from the public or from the marketing of the organizations who were doing events for eco-friendly events. They just do it because I'm gonna be a picture in the newspaper. This is for my work. I'm forced, or this is required. So the passion, the motivation, that genuine passion was not there. Now I'm seeing people getting excited when they see the actual. I don't want to say this, but the trends. They're following the trend. So the trend is in health and fitness and sustainability that people are following it. It's not a good or bad thing. It's working, so I guess it's a good thing. But for me, it's about challenging those who don't really care. You have to figure out, why they don't care. People don't care because they say, I'm not going to be here in a few years. But when you talk to them about the children, they're like, oh, wait a second, my son will have to do this as well before. I can't leave him this legacy and have him struggle later on because you all worry about your children. And then the shift, for example, I'm seeing people now with food packaging as well as using leftovers, but they're also being smart with regards to now biking around Doha. The health trend is pushing the sustainability trend in a very odd way. So it's about walking, jogging, biking, and then as well as, eating healthy food that's also affecting the environment, like Mohammed said. So they're doing it and they're following the bigger trends, but it's actually working in baby steps. But I do obviously still see that there's a huge gap in the market for those who are not onto that health trend that are still missing this information. And what I need for this culture shift to actually happen is these organizations who are doing all these events to actually market and PR well. Because even the people, okay, yes, I talk to people around town, I can hear what's happening in the new events, but you rarely hear about these eco-friendly events, sustainability events.
You heard of the big event, right?
Of course. But there's not enough in the country in terms of pushing it out there in a public way that people can easily absorb. Because the obstacle here is the education. We need someone to push us. For example, in Sweden and in a lot of Scandinavia and in Europe, they have these machines everywhere, and people are just naturally trained, just naturally to go and just put it in there. They don't even think twice of, this is included into their souls. Here we're missing that. We have to imprint it so that they can feel responsible and maybe also have incentives. So reduce their kahrama if they have good green numbers. Increase, give them a discount at the restaurant if they're ordering certain, low carbon emission foods or whatever that is. So incentives for me is the way to go with this culture because they need to get pushed.
That's it. Like the incentive that Sweden gets when they ask people to give them their waste. It's fantastic. Absolutely. Dana, would you like to ask a question?
Okay, I think I'll ask Dr. Saif. That's okay. Yeah. Very simple question. I think what's your advice for us? We are, the generation that is trying to thrive here in Qatar. What do you see? Are we doing something wrong? Are we doing something right? And what could you advise us? I think it's as simple as that.
I mentioned before, we are really proud of our children first, because I deal with them 30 years now, the young children. They're really a good ambassador and a good way of changing the behavior of their family. As you know, here, when we see our children, this is part of culture. When they see our children with good behavior, everyone try really to follow that behavior so they don't make any problem for missing and like children know which is the right behavior. So this is one. You as a youth now, you really take the responsibility of Qatar, not only in this field of environment, but I'm a founder of Qatar Foundation. I know how these youth now make difference in our country. If we go back to the 1980s, we we find our youth was not that much really feeling that they have responsibility. Today you are talking and you understand what you want to do, you are seeing future, and this will affect your children. Okay? So when you are investing a youth and invest in a generation, this will affect all generations to come. And also will reduce the cost of the country. Because when you have a society which is prepared to take responsibility, you reduce the problem in the same time. So really, we see you now can affect your age better than me. And this is what I'm doing when I deal with the children 3 years old, I become a child with 8 years old. When I talk with you, I come with the age of you. So the message can go better, you know. So, and then I work also when we have, for example, cleaning or anything, have to show a model. So you are now, as you have this goal, you are supposed to see to show the model of your age, you know, by using all. And today we have this, you know, technology which can really affect more by, you know, some words, any of the social media, okay, by gathering people, by try to have group of you and have initiative which is serve the problem of the country, or at least try to raise awareness. And this is very important because now education in school is not enough. You know? We want to see really the country everywhere. If I'm going to mall, I have to learn. And this is what we do. We have a program called in one of the malls we try. We have a program there related to the environment. So the people that are coming, they are not shopping only. They learn. You know, they see the birth of Qatar, they see the reception of Qatar, the children coming and try to do some activities. The parents they go and shopping in a better way. So this is what we want to see, the country of knowledge. Everywhere.
Sorry, doctor, but can you tell us about which mall is it? Because I think you have started again. It's a beautiful project. I've seen it.
We start with the exam mode, and we want to see this program, Friend of Nature,
Yes.
in all malls in Qatar.
It should.
We want to see it in all public areas.
How can we have?
You know, because by having this education everywhere, then awareness will be more. So this is what I'm doing now. And I have something which is you green your career. What I mean to green your career, if you are a mother, you have really, when you are raising children, you think green. How the children can use water in a better way, how their waste going to the right place. So this is the mother who green their mother. A teacher. For example, if you have a teacher teaching art, okay, you say, okay, today children we're going to draw, we're going to take beach environment, birds, water, some mangrove. The children will draw. The other teacher who green it, career would say, okay, what about if we throw garbage in our beaches? Look now, the message is different, but in the same subject. It's art. So you can really green your career. For example, a manager here, if he didn't green his career, also will not give good reputation to the employer. So when he think, the engineering who built our houses, you have to think green. So then we live in a better house. They help the people come to them. Okay, they want to have a nice house. We say, no, you have to use this type of material. The wind is supposed to be in this direction because the wind can create a better environment. So this is what the message now I'm trying to see that if this will be a better solution for the climate change. If every one of us green his career, then will be positive to the environment. Because it's part of their knowledge become behavior. So if we couldn't translate knowledge to behavior, then the knowledge is not helping. Anyway, so this is my message.
Thank you, Dr. Sir. If I may, because I'm belonging to the older generation also a little bit, if I may say some words. I see that, this change will not happen from itself. So it needs to happen from within. And you guys are 3 young Qataris, which gives an example because we need, figures that we can look up to, and you inspire people. And we will will have more Ghanaians, more Aishas, more Lims, which will kick off this change in the society. You are doing very well. Yeah.
We need more safes also.
Yes.
Not the same. Aisha, you have a question? For who?
Well, my question is for everyone.
Lovely.
It's not for this thing.
Yeah, it's for everyone. It's a term of how is our next action? Is it education? There's a specific thing that we should do, or how to work to take care of the environment and save the environment? Because as we saw past of few years, what happened all around the world, worldwide, and even here in Qatar, 2 years we don't have rain. So this is all related to climate change. So we need to have an action. So is it related to individuals, or how we can take an action to save the environment? So this is my question.
Since I have the micro, I will say 2 sentences maybe about this. I think we need to go off from the throwaway society. We need to understand that the resources that we have will not, be there for forever. I sometimes say, compare the world to a glass bottle which is completely sealed. We are trapped inside. Nobody will come and save us or will change our habits to save this symbiosis. And it is a symbiosis. And if we do not care about our nature, our environment, and our resources, we will disappear. And we need to look back to the history, what happened. And being an archaeologist, I see more and more examples of how sustainable people have to be, because they needed to live in this environment, for example, in Qatar, with resources that they had on. And, AC came here maybe 40, 50 years ago. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. But people were living here and building buildings which were acclimatized with a certain architecture. And we need to understand our traditions and go back to there again and check how we can inspire ourselves from these techniques and use them today also.
The beautiful wind towers, amazing. Putting technology for the World Cup, absolutely. Reem, you have a question for?
So when you're saying about your background and your upbringing, that your mother or your parents instilled in you the idea of being sustainable, not wasting money, that's wasting water and light and the energy. So what do you do now that you think has stuck with you since you were a child, that you feel you're doing what you need to be doing?
Yeah, I still don't use a bathtub. You were saying actually correctly, because my family was not completely conscious about the sustainability, but they wanted to save money, basically. And this was what I was trying to say. If you have the resources for free, you will never be mindful of them. If the water is there, you will just use it and you will not think, okay, will it be there in 10 years or in 15 years? This country has so many examples about this kind of things. Like, there was times in the history that people were bringing water from outside also to Qatar, or other things. People had to somehow, deal with their environment and check how they can survive within. What I do right now is come back to this question, is that after I understood that I'm also a polluter, so I'm more conscious and I'm trying to separate my garbage and also recycle and trying to use less single-use plastic, for example. I have my water bottles, even, here in the offices, you are always offered the plastic bottle, water, small bottles, and so on. I stopped to use this since almost 3 years now. This is something that I can do in my level. So one doesn't need to wait always that the government come up with a new law and change everything for you. You have to do something by yourself. You have to start from your own level to be sustainable. Then we can, succeed as a society to be sustainable. Because when we don't know what government is planning and what kind of contracts they have and so on, there are so many things that we are not aware about, but we can change something in our own level, and this I'm trying to do.
Thank you, Dr. Farhan. And with that, it's nearly a wrap. All I can say is think sustainable and plant a tree, not just for the Qatar 2030 vision for planting 10 million trees or 1 million trees towards the World Cup. Plant a tree wherever you go, on holiday, home, your native place, plant a tree. So thank you very much. Thank you, Volvo. Thank you, esteemed guests and esteemed panelists. I learned a lot. And thank you, Dr. Steph. I have one last question for you. This is not a non-sustainable question. I would love to host you for the National Sports Day, where we're going to talk about football. And you, being one of the footballers who played for the first Gulf Cup, I'd like to pick your brain. Thank you so much, guys, and masalama, and have a sustainable evening. Take care. Please.